Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. I hope you're all having a fantastic day. The studio lights had always felt warm to Kelly Ripa. For decades, they were her second son, bright, forgiving, familiar. That morning, though, the glow felt harsher, almost interrogating. The cameras hummed softly, the kind of sound you stopped hearing after years in television. Yet today it buzzed in her chest like a warning. Mark Consuelos sat beside her, his posture easy, his smile practiced. To anyone watching, it looked like another ordinary day, a celebrity couple laughing, trading playful glances, the comfort of routine wrapped around them like a well-worn sweater. But beneath the surface, something else pulsed, quiet, heavy, waiting. Kelly took a breath she didn't know she was holding. There are moments in life when time stretches thin, when a second feels like a lifetime. This was one of them. "Before we start," Kelly said, her voice steady but softer than usual, "there's something I need to say." The room changed. Crew members froze mid-step. Mark turned his head toward her, his eyes searching her face, as if asking a question he already knew the answer to. The audience, accustomed to laughter, gossip, light-hearted confessions, leaned in without realizing it. Kelly clasped her hands together. Her fingers trembled. "For a long time, we've shared so much of our lives with you, the funny parts, the messy parts, the beautiful chaos of raising kids and growing older together." She paused, swallowing hard. "But there are some moments you protect, some truths you hold close because you're not ready." Mark reached for her hand. She squeezed back, grounding herself. "And today," she said, "I think we're ready." The diagnosis that changed everything. It began quietly, almost invisibly. That's how life-changing things often start. Mark had been tired, not the end of a long day tired, but a deeper fatigue that sleep didn't fix. He brushed it off, joking that age was finally catching up to him. Kelly laughed along, but somewhere in her chest, a small knot tightened. Then came the headaches, the missed workouts, the way Mark would sometimes stare into space as if listening to something only he could hear. One evening, long after the house had gone quiet, Kelly found him sitting at the kitchen table in the dark. "Hey," she whispered, flipping on a lamp. "What are you doing up?" Mark smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Just thinking." Kelly sat across from him, studying the man she'd loved since her 20s, the man whose laugh filled rooms, whose energy seemed endless. She saw something new there. Fear. That was the night she insisted on the doctor's appointment. The tests came one after another, blood work, scans, more waiting rooms than Kelly could count. Each time the phone rang, her heart jumped. Each time Mark squeezed her hand, she squeezed back harder, as if strength could be transferred through touch. When the diagnosis finally came, it landed like a whisper and then like a scream. "I didn't know how to say it out loud." Kelly's voice cracked as she spoke on air. "When the doctor said the words, I felt like the floor disappeared." She looked at Mark, her eyes shining. "I remember thinking, this can't be our story. We're the lucky ones. We work hard, we love hard, we laugh through everything." Mark nodded slowly. "I kept thinking about the kids, about you." Kelly's breath hitched. "There's this strange thing that happens when the person you love most becomes vulnerable. You want to be strong for them, but you're also falling apart inside." She admitted that there were nights she cried silently in the bathroom so Mark wouldn't hear. Mornings she smiled for the cameras and then collapsed in her car afterwards, gripping the steering wheel until her knuckles turned white. "I didn't tell anyone, not because I didn't trust them, but because once you say it out loud, it becomes real." The audience sat in stunned silence. Fans watching from home felt it too. The rawness, the unfiltered honesty. This wasn't a headline. This was a heart speaking. Mark leaned forward, his voice calm but heavy with emotion. "I didn't want to be defined by it," he said. "I didn't want to be the guy with the diagnosis. I wanted to be a husband, a dad, just me." He spoke of the fear that crept in during the quiet hours when distractions faded and reality pressed close, of the moments when he questioned his body, his future, his sense of control. "But I also learned something," Mark said, glancing at Kelly. "Strength doesn't always look like standing tall. Sometimes it looks like asking for help." Kelly wiped a tear from her cheek. "And sometimes," she added softly, "it looks like staying." The confession that left fans speechless. Then came the moment no one expected. Kelly took a shaky breath. "There's something I haven't told Mark," she said. He turned to her, surprised. "I was scared that if I showed how afraid I was, it would make things worse for him," she confessed. "So I tried to be perfect, brave, positive all the time." Her voice broke. "But the truth is, I was terrified of losing him." Mark's eyes filled. He reached up, brushing her cheek with his thumb. "You didn't lose me," he said quietly. "I know, but love doesn't stop fear. It just makes it louder." Fans later said that was the moment they stopped breathing. Love in the waiting rooms. Kelly described the long hours spent in sterile rooms, the way time seemed suspended between test results and treatment plans. She talked about how they learned to celebrate small victories, a good day, a laugh shared, a meal eaten together without worry hovering overhead. "There were days we didn't talk about it at all. We watched bad TV, argued about what to order for dinner, pretended life was normal." Mark smiled at the memory. "Those were my favorite days." But there were also days when the weight was unbearable, when the future felt like a fragile glass about to shatter. Love, she said, became quieter, deeper, less about grand gestures and more about showing up. Why they're speaking now. So why tell the world? Kelly asked herself aloud. Why now? She looked into the camera, her gaze unwavering. Because someone watching right now is sitting in their own kitchen in the dark. Because someone else is pretending everything is fine when it's not. Mark nodded. Because fear grows in silence. They didn't share medical details. They didn't dramatize the diagnosis itself. What they offered instead was something more powerful, vulnerability. "We're still walking this road," Kelly said. "We don't have all the answers, but we have each other." Mark squeezed her hand again. "And hope." The aftermath. When the show ended, social media erupted, not with gossip, but with gratitude. Fans wrote about their own diagnoses, their own loved ones, their own silent battles. Messages poured in from people who felt seen for the first time. One comment echoed louder than the rest. "Thank you for being human." Kelly read them later that night, curled up on the couch beside Mark. The house was quiet again, but this time it felt peaceful. "You okay?" Mark asked. She nodded. "I think so." He kissed the top of her head. "You were brave today." Kelly smiled faintly. "So were you." Love redefined. Life didn't suddenly become easier after the confession. There were still appointments, still uncertainty, still moments when fear tried to creep back in. But something had shifted. The secret was no longer a burden they carried alone. Kelly realized that strength didn't mean hiding pain. It meant allowing love to exist alongside it. Mark realized that vulnerability didn't make him weaker, it made him real. Together, they learned a new rhythm, one built on honesty, patience, and the understanding that tomorrow was never promised, but today was theirs. The final truth. As Kelly later reflected, the diagnosis didn't break us, it cracked us open. And through those cracks, something unexpected poured in, deeper love, stronger connection, and a reminder that even in fear, life can still be beautiful. For fans who watched in silence, hearts pounding, tears falling, this wasn't just a story about Mark Consuelos or Kelly Ripa. It was a story about love when it's tested, about courage when it's quiet, and about the power of telling the truth even when your voice shakes.